Welcome back, Shark Kings, to another episode of PlayStation Plus subscribers are getting screwed again this month. This was one of the highest rated months for PlayStation Plus Essential tier. Sadly, it was at the cost of PlayStation Plus Extra subscribers. In this video, we're going to take a look at what games we're getting, what games we're losing, and comparing the scores to see if we're getting a fair deal this month. So with that said, and for brevity, here are all the games that are leaving. Just a quick reminder that if you need to check yourself, go all the way left, click on PlayStation Extra, go to Collections, and then scroll all the way to the bottom. And at the very bottom, you will see Last Chance to Play. And then go to View All, and you can see all the games that are leaving this month. These were just announced today, so they might not show up on your system quite yet, but they do show up in other parts of the world. These are the games that will be replacing them, but we'll talk more about them later. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about the games. Like previously mentioned, we're losing some big Rockstar games, including GTA San Andreas Definitive Edition and Red Dead Redemption 2, which is a 200-hour game, so don't even bother with that one. We're also losing Dragon's Dogma, Dark Arisen, and all the Kingdom Hearts games. But this is a short games channel, so let's just focus on the games that you can actually beat before the deadline. Number one on the list is What Remains of Edith Finch. This will only take you 2 hours. You can just finish that today. It will be the best bang for your buck as far as hours spent versus the content you will get. There's not a lot of dilly-dallying, just really memorable scenes. Even though it's a walking sim and it's pretty simple, you will remember this game for a very long time, which is a lot to say for a 2-hour game. So play this before it leaves. The second on the list has a low score, but I think it deserves way higher. It's Superliminal. This game takes everything you know about video games and turns it upside down. It takes advantage of things you're used to seeing in a video game and makes puzzles out of the visual element of them, with high emphasis on depth perception and how it's portrayed in video games. This one might take you more than one playthrough, even though technically you can beat it in under 3 hours, but it will probably take you a few days, I would say, because again, it takes advantage of the video game design language, things that you're so used to seeing. So if you're a hardcore gamer, it might be a disadvantage, actually. You really have to think outside the box. This is the most outside of the box puzzler game I've played. So I definitely recommend playing this one. In fact, I challenge you. I dare you to beat this one. Let me know if you get past the apples. Good luck with that. The next must-play on the list is Overcooked 2. This is a must-play, but it needs a player too, so you're going to need to go find a friend. If you've ever worked in a kitchen and missed the days of yelling at each other at who's responsible for who and whose fault it was that the rice was burnt, well, this game is right up your alley. I would say this is one of the best couch co-op games outside of It Takes Two. But, another warning, this will test your friendship and relationship, especially if communication is not one of your strong skills. But if you do manage to get good at this game, this is basically free therapy. So play Overcooked 2 because it is one of the only couch co-op experiences left. Except for the next one, of course, which is Moving Out. Moving Out is a less stressful version of Overcooked 2. The time restraints are not as strict, and you don't get penalties for breaking things. In fact, it's kind of encouraged. It's very silly, and you could play it with more players, and it makes a lot of pop cultural references. This one is actually beatable single player, but it's more fun with friends. Just a warning that if you do play with friends, it becomes a little bit more difficult. For example, you can move a couch all by yourself, but if you're playing with a friend, you need 2 people for certain objects. Chorus is another game that's short, but not that short, but I personally can't recommend it because I didn't play it. So if you have something nice to say about this game, say it in the comments. There are a lot more good and great games leaving, but some of these games are way too long to beat in a month, and again, this is a short games channel, so we're not going to talk about them. This channel focuses on indie titles, talking about games you might not have heard of before. So let's move on to the games that we are getting, the games that are coming in because these games are going out. Are any of them worth playing? I don't know because I haven't played them, but let's talk about them. The first game that catches my eye is GRIS. The main story is beatable in 3.5 hours, and for completionists, aka platinum runs, it's only 6.5, so that qualifies as a short game. And it has a Metacritic rating of 83, so not bad. I'm definitely adding this to the list. The only other game that catches my eye on the list is probably the Dark Picture Anthology, The Devil in Me. I've played all the other ones. Some of them are okay and some of them are pretty good, but you know what to expect. So even if it has a low score, I'll probably still play it. The main one they're advertising is Dead Island 2. Personally, I'm over zombies and horror, especially by the time November comes. I just played Alien Isolation, The Evil Within, currently playing Resident Evil 2. Like, I'm gonna be over zombies by the time November comes around. Dead Island was a great game when it first came out because it was in the peak of the zombie hype. There was Walking Dead and a million zombie movies. Personally, I'm over it. Anyways, let's jump to the part of the video where we compare the games coming in and compare them with the games coming out. Is the score gonna be better, or are we losing some great titles and getting shafted right before Black Friday? So let's go over my chart and explain all these crazy colors. The x-axis at the bottom is all the individual games, and the y-axis is the Metacritic score. If a game got a better score than 80, then its column is red. The blue bars are mid scores, and the yellow bar is the lowest scoring game in the entire list, which is a respectable 71. We're going to use this later, keep this in mind. So overall, we're losing 7 great games, and by great, I mean 80 plus games. So let's jump over to the games that are coming. Again, the red bars represent games that are 80 plus. The blue are mid, but the yellow here are something different. Every yellow bar you see is worse than the worst game that is leaving, which, as you might recall, was a score of 71. So each yellow bar represents a score that's under 71. As you see these scores, I want you to keep in mind that a score of under 50 for a game is almost unheard of. So I know under normal conventions, anything above 50 is a pass. But in video games, it's more 70. Anything under 70 is objectively a bad game. So with that out of the way, let's compare what's leaving with what's coming in. The first things we notice is that there's way more games leaving than coming in. We're only losing one bad game, but even the bad game is technically above 70. We're getting 5 bad games but losing 1, and we're getting 3 great games but losing 7. The average score of the games that we're leaving is 79.3, and the average score of the games that are coming in is 72.6. So no matter which way you look at it, we are getting a drop in quality, which is expected because Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of the best games of all time. The majority of the games on the list are 10, 15, and even 20 years old, and the high score was a product of their time. Under modern scrutiny and standards, they probably wouldn't get such a high score. But Red Dead 2 got a 97 in modern times in 2018, which makes our comparison and average a bit unfair. But even if we were to remove Red Dead Redemption 2 from our list, it's still not looking good. We are still losing more than we are gaining. The only redemption is that PS Plus Essential monthly games were a hit this month. And the other bit of good news is that these are October's lineup, not November. A lot of people's subscriptions expire right before Black Friday. This is a great time for people to decide whether they're going to renew or not. So Sony has an incentive to release good games on November. They usually release them in the middle of the month, so you have about a week or two to decide whether to renew or cancel your subscription. In November of 2023, they give us Teardown, which was a day one drop, along with some of the great games that are leaving right now. They probably will not give us any other day one drops because we just got the Plucky Squire. In November of 2022, we got the other games that are leaving this month. So you can't be too surprised that these games are leaving. They usually have a 12-month or 24-month contract. We've had over 2 years to play some of these titles. The only annoying one is Red Dead Redemption 2 because we only got a 6-month contract, as it was part of the May lineup. 6 months for a long game, not everyone's going to jump in on that. But if you gave GTA 5 a try when it came to the service, you knew what to expect. So don't even bother with Rockstar games. Just buy them when they go on sale. Then you'll have all the time in the world to play them, especially the online content. Personally, I'm still waiting for the 60 frames per second version, as it seems like it's such a waste on my PS5. If you are wondering whether the game you are playing right now and spent hundreds of hours in is on the chopping block or will be on the chopping block, there's things you can do. You can search for your game and see when it was released on Extra. Is its 12-month anniversary coming up? Its 24th? You can predict which games are leaving just by doing a little bit of research. But if that sounds like too much work, I know just the guy. Just go to Google and search games likely to leave PS Extra. look for the top Reddit post. There's a user by the name of Kyrakhan Online, and he was the top predictor of last year. Here's his post from 22 days ago, and he predicted most of the games leaving. He also gives his reasoning on why he thinks these games are going to be leaving. Again, some are just 12-month contracts, and others are 24-month contracts. So the main lessons to be learned from this video and this month's announcements are A, check the last chance to play section. B, before you start a game, make sure the contract cannot expire in the next month or two. And C, don't bother with Rockstar games. They are way too much of a time sink for them to be swept from under you with little notice. And D, follow this channel because I will do all the work for you. So until next time, be a friend and I'll see you again. P.S. Did you enjoy my teardown runs? Should I post more of my solutions now that everyone's going to be playing it, trying to beat it in time? I'm tempted to post just walkthroughs, but I don't want you guys who don't play it to get annoyed. Either way, thanks for watching.